What's up, YouTube? This is your boy Thomas back again with another rendition of Truth Be Told. This week there wasn't really a whole lot that came out that was really new or big news. Um, the one thing I did see that really kind of got everyone irked was the Democrats paid The Rock to endorse them, and The Rock came out and said he was endorsing Biden and Kamala after getting paid buku sums of money for doing it. So we know he's full of shit. He was getting paid, so that's why he did it. And everyone was giving him a hard time about it. That's not new. The Democrats are, they're desperate, so they're paying big celebrities to try to get people to vote for them for their votes. But we all know it's not working, so they can keep trying all they want to. A lot of people were disappointed that The Rock went and did it, but a lot of us knew he was getting paid big money for doing it, so you can't really actually blame him. We know who he's going to vote for anyway, so who cares? The next thing I wanted to talk about was several people are getting upset over the whole they're going to try to reboot the stupid ass Batwoman show. And this time they're using a black woman to play Batwoman. So, I mean, they showed a picture of her first picture, behind the scenes picture, and it just looked stupid. It looked horrible. I mean, just pathetic. Her with that red hair, and it just didn't look right at all. It looked terrible. But, they think they're going to change crap up by making a black woman. I mean, good luck with that. Psh, whatever. We all know how that's going to go. It's probably going to bomb worse than this last one did. I saw that they're doing a reboot. Oh my gosh, another remake, whatever. Reboot, remake of The Craft. You remember that 90s movie about the witches? Little teeny bopper witches. It was an alright movie for what it was back then. It was okay. But they're going to try to make a reboot or a remake of it. We all know that's how it's going to go. It's probably going to be woke, and it's going to be trashier and shit. Now, what would be funny, I think would be funny is, how they're always swapping out men for female roles. If they'd swap out the entire female cast of Craft and put all males in there, just to make it, I don't know. I just think that would be hilarious if they went and did something like that. But they're not going to. It's going to be a terrible movie. I already see it coming. The next thing I saw that they're going to. You remember the show Friends? Apparently they're going to redo that, but make it all like black people. Like Blackish has done really good. Yeah, I mean, it's piss poor ratings for that show. So, all black friends. Let's see how good that goes. Whatever. You can have, for the most part, a good chunk of a black, a cast in a TV show. And still, it could still be good, So I don't understand why they're doing, they're replacing all the white people and Friends with black people. It just makes no sense. It's just dumb and pathetic on their part. you know, makes it seem like they got to steal somebody else's idea and try to make it their own. It's dumb. Dumb, dumb, dumb. I don't know. We'll see. But I bet it flops too. The last thing I'm going to talk to you about is the dating tip I have for you this week. As far as online dating goes, you're never going to find a site, an online dating site or app, that is going to be completely 100% free. There is always going to be some catch, some type of upgrade, or a certain part of the site you cannot get into without paying for it. Or, you know, not necessarily membership, but, you know, well, one-time fee, you know, to get into this, unlock this section of the dating site, you know, something. And like I've said before, I've said it 100 times, never pay these sites. There's no reason, none whatsoever, you should pay to talk to somebody. That is utterly ridiculous. And here's the reason why. I'm going to tell you exactly why. Because I don't care what dating site it is, just about 98% of them, when you go to try their site, they want you to pay before you even try their site. And here's the reason why. They want all your information before you even go on the site, and then they want you to pay for it. When you do, and you go to try and search for people in your area that you would like to date, you're lucky if you get a few people in your area. I don't know how many times I've seen this where, you know, they claim they've got a lot of people in your area for you to choose from, or, you know, to look through profiles of, and then there's only like 4 or 5 people in the area that's near you. Everybody else is 2 or 3 hours away. And that's just retarded, because we all know that in reality, long distance relationships do not work. They just don't. And a lot of these women on these sites, 90% of the time, they are scared to death to talk to someone or get to know someone who's only, you know, in the same city they're in, or, you know, maybe 20-30 minutes away. They don't want any, a lot of times they don't want to date someone that close, because if things don't work out, they don't ever have to see you again, you know, if you're more than an hour away, which is just dumb. It's the dumbest thing ever. But regardless, number one, you're going to have to pay, which is dumb. You should never pay. And two, 90% of the time, there's really not anyone near you. The sites lie. They don't, it's false advertisement. But they get away with it. So anyways, that's my dating tip. You're probably not going to ever find a free, 100% free dating site. It's just not going to happen. And two, before you even pay, try to make sure for some, you know, if there is a way for you to check, do a search before you even think about it, giving them all your information. Because I'm almost betting you're not going to find hardly anybody that lives near you. That's my dating tip for the week. Now, let's move on to your B-rated movies. I got a couple of old cult classics. Both of them are from the 60s. The first one, it was done in 1964, and it starred Paul Manti, Victor London, and Adam West. They were the only three in this film, except for a monkey. And it was called Robinson Crusoe on Mars. Now, I'm going to nitpick a little bit to this movie because there was a lot of it that just wasn't right. It doesn't mean it wasn't a fun movie. It was just, it's kind of a little bit messed up the way they did it. You know, even in the trailer it says, oh, everything's authentic, scientifically proven, blah, blah, blah. And you're just like rolling your eyes like, yeah, okay. The story basically is two astronauts are doing a survey of Mars. Well, something happens and, you know, they got to make a landing on Mars. One of them survives, the other does not. Now, the main part of the spaceship remains in space. But one of them makes it, the other one does not. The Adam West, who is the captain, he doesn't make it. The other guy does. Anyways, he's there by himself for quite a while with the monkey, of course. And then he later runs into some humanoids who are kind of like mining the planet of Mars for something. He ends up saving one of the Martians that he runs across, or has enslaved some human-like aliens or whatever. He ends up saving one of them, and they become like really good friends, blah blah blah. And then towards the end they get rescued by a rescue party from Earth, and that's the end of the movie. You know, this is 1960s, but even for them, I would think that they would know a little bit about the way Mars works. You know, but it was crazy. You know, the guy was half the time he was taking off his mask and breathing the atmosphere of Mars, which we know you can't do. It's not going to work. It's too thin of an atmosphere. His way of getting around that is he finds these magical rocks that look like sulfur that burn like charcoal. You know, he uses them to keep himself warm and keep a fire going. He finds a cave or whatever. His rations are getting low. But he figures out that, you know, after the rocks have burned a little bit, they tend to burn. It's almost like they, not only do they burn, but they also put out oxygen after a little while, a little bit of oxygen. So he starts filling up his air tanks with the oxygen from the rocks after he burns it a little bit, like the smoke from it or something turns into oxygen, which is a little ridiculous, but whatever. The other thing that was funny was, you know, he's looking for water, he can't find water, and then the monkey somehow leads him to this underground lake or whatever. which turns out not to be so much of an underground lake. So, you know, he's got water all of a sudden. Inside the water is these, like, kelp-like plants in the water that grow like these little sausages, which he's been eating. You know, little pods full of sausage or some shit. So now he found food. That's how he survives. His slave alien buddy has air pills, which he takes that lets him, you know, breathe the atmosphere of Mars or some shit. They got these aliens that are trying to kill him, who are looking for the slave after he escapes. They never seem to quite hit exactly where they're at, you know, bomb them or laser them or whatever. Eventually, towards the end of the movie, they find polar ice caps. So now there's, you know, for some odd reason, they felt the need to head up that way towards the ice caps to escape the aliens. You know, the slave masters. But anyways, a lot of things were wrong with this movie, but I get what they were more concerned about the story and the adventure than they were, you know, the actual facts of how, you know, you could actually survive on Mars. But it was still a good movie for what it was. It was just, you know, they just didn't even bother doing the research, you know, when they decided to make this film. So as let's get on to your CGI. The CGI, you know, for what it was back then, it wasn't actually that half bad, to be honest. It actually looked pretty good for being an older cult classic. It wasn't bad. I give it a solid 3 for definitely trying really good. It wasn't bad, honest. Let's see. Acting wise, the acting was great. Definitely a solid 4. The acting was really good, to be honest. I thought the guy did really well. So yeah, a solid 4. Definitely good acting. Overall, let's see, story. The story wise, the story was really good too. I give it a 4. It was a really good story, to be honest. Overall, this movie, it wasn't like the greatest. It had some, you know, a lot of scientifical, factual information that was just way off. But as long as you could look past that, you know, overall, I give this movie a solid 4. It was actually really good, surprisingly, even with all the flaws in it, scientifically. So definitely check it out. If you like some decent sci-fi, it was really good. I give it 2 thumbs up. Alright, let's move on to your next one. The second one was done in 1969. It starred Ray Fiennes and Lonnie von Friedel. It was called Journey to the Far Side of the Sun. This one was actually kind of a little strange at first. It's hard to grip around because you can definitely tell everything was pretty cheesy. Innovative. They definitely had some imagination, but it was kind of cheesy. The story basically is it's not really the United Nations, but it's something like the United Nations, where all some European space like NASA or something. It's like a United European Space thing or some shit. They spot a planet on the other side of the sun, which shouldn't be there. They've never noticed it before until now. All of a sudden they notice that there's a planet on the other side of the sun that's going parallel to ours, clockwise, whatever. Which they should have seen. It made no sense why they never seen it before. Anyways, they decide to send 2 astronauts to go and investigate. An American pilot and a British, I think he was an astrophysicist or something like that. I can't remember exactly what he was. Some type of scientist, physicist. Anyways, they train him for a while, and then they send him off. When the 2 men land on the planet, they find out, they crash land. They find out that the planet's pretty much looks just like Earth, which makes no sense to them. But the pilot eventually figures out what's going on. He realizes that everything is duplicated, that everything's in reverse for him. When he looks at writing or something, it's in reverse, but for everybody else, it's normal. He realizes this and explains to the director, of the EAU or whatever it's called, the European thing, that he's on a mirror world. At first I thought he was making it up and he was just going crazy, but then the director says that it's the only thing that, you're right, it's the only thing that makes sense. So he's on a mirror planet. So they figure that they're going to send him back, but it fails due to the reverse polarity of the way things work on his ship and the ship they sent him back up in. Because his is positive polarity and the one they sent him in is negative polarity or whatever. Ours that came was positive, the one from the planet was negative, so it didn't work and it screwed up and it causes the American to crash and die, and that's pretty much the end of the movie. I don't know. This movie was, I didn't find it all that great. It was okay, but it wasn't really spectacular. There were some parts that was just kind of boring. It did enough to keep you interested in finding out what was going to happen at the end. The acting is a solid 3. You had some decent actors. It wasn't bad acting at all. It was decent. It wasn't greatest, but it was alright. It was good enough. As far as the CGI, they tried to put like futuristic vehicles in there and stuff, but it looked too much like something like you were going to see off Thunderbirds or some shit like that, or Space 1999. Little puppet shows or whatever they were. I don't mean space. I can't remember what that other space show was. Had the puppets in it, but everyone's pretty much seen Thunderbirds. But yeah, it was, a lot of the vehicles looked like that. It was kind of cheesy looking. And then as far as the story-wise go, the story was alright. It was okay. It was just, it moved too slow for me. It wasn't fast enough. No real action or anything like that. So it was just, it was okay. It was more like a Twilight Zone episode is what it was. That's basically what it was. An extended Twilight Zone episode. It should have only been about 30 minutes or so. Otherwise, it was alright. I give it a 3 as well. The story was okay. It's 3. It just shouldn't have gone on that long. Overall, the movie, I give it a 3. It was alright. It was decent. Wasn't the greatest. Wasn't the worst. I give it a thumbs up and a thumbs down. Yeah, it was alright for a sci-fi show. Alright. That's all I have for you this week. If you could think of any gems I might have missed, some movies that, you know, a lot of people not have heard of that, you know, are actually really good, leave suggestions down in the comments down below, and I'll get to reviewing them as soon as I can. If you have any thoughts on what I spoke on earlier in the video, please let me hear your thoughts in the comments down section below. That's all I have for you this week. Until next time, I told you you'd be told the truth, and you've just been told.